In a world filled with abundance of information, choices, and material goods, the notion that simplicity can lead to abundance might seem paradoxical. How can reducing what we have or do actually create more? This question has intrigued philosophers for centuries and remains a relevant consideration in modern life. The concept of simplicity, far from being merely a matter of minimalism or aesthetic preference, invites us to examine the deeper ways in which less can lead to a richer, more meaningful existence. This paradox, the notion that stripping away excess can lead to greater fulfillment, is not a new one. In fact, it is deeply rooted in philosophical traditions, from the ancient wisdom of the Stoics to the minimalism of contemporary thought. Yet, as alluring as simplicity may sound, its practice is far from straightforward. Like any philosophy, simplicity holds its benefits and challenges, its light and shadow. How simplicity creates abundance. At first glance, this connection between simplicity and abundance seems like a contradiction. How can having less result in more? Yet, as many thinkers have pointed out, abundance does not always refer to material wealth. Rather, it can refer to freedom, time, clarity, and inner richness. When we simplify, we often free ourselves from the burden of excess. Consider the material abundance of modern life. Our homes are filled with things, and our schedules packed with commitments. This can often feel overwhelming. The philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau critiqued modern society for its corrupting excess, arguing that humans were happier in their simpler, natural state before the introduction of private property and social hierarchies. To Rousseau, civilization's complexity enslaves us to desires and social expectations, trapping us in a never-ending pursuit of more. By contrast, when we embrace simplicity, we reduce these pressures. Fewer possessions mean less to clean, organize, or worry about. A simpler schedule can create more time for meaningful activities. Instead of being overwhelmed by abundance, we start to feel more in control of our lives. This is the freedom that simplicity offers. Freedom from the clutter, both physical and mental, that modern life imposes on us. Simplicity also brings clarity. In today's world, we are bombarded by an overwhelming number of choices, from the mundane, "What kind of toothpaste should I buy?" to the significant, "Which career path should I take?" Barry Schwartz, in his book The Paradox of Choice, argues that the abundance of options in modern society can lead to anxiety and paralysis. Instead of empowering us, too many choices often leave us dissatisfied, constantly second-guessing whether we've made the right decision. Simplicity, on the other hand, reduces the number of decisions we need to make. This frees up mental space for more important things. It allows us to focus on what truly matters, whether that's meaningful work, relationships, or personal growth. The fewer distractions we have, the more we can devote ourselves to things that bring us real joy and satisfaction. In this sense, simplicity creates an abundance of focus and purpose. Simplicity also leads to an inner abundance, a wealth of spirit that comes from finding contentment within ourselves. Many philosophical traditions, from the Stoics to Buddhists, emphasize the importance of inner peace over external success. This idea is echoed in Eastern philosophies as well, such as Buddhism, which teaches that attachment to material things is a source of suffering. By letting go of these attachments and living a simpler life, we can achieve greater peace and contentment. In this way, simplicity leads to an abundance of inner tranquility. The dark side of simplicity, when less isn't more. While simplicity holds clear philosophical appeal, it is not without its challenges and downsides. There's a tendency to romanticize simplicity, imagining it as an easy escape from the stress and complexity of modern life. However, the reality is more nuanced, and living simply is not always a path to happiness or abundance. First, it's important to recognize that the ability to choose simplicity is often a privilege. For those living in poverty, simplicity is not a philosophical choice. It is a reality imposed by circumstance. To romanticize simplicity as the answer to life's problems can be tone deaf to the struggles of those who have no choice but to live with less. In these cases, more, whether that's more security, more resources, or more opportunity, might be precisely what's needed to create a better life. Philosophers like Karl Marx have critiqued the notion that a simple, humble life is inherently virtuous. Marx argued that material conditions shape consciousness, and that those who suffer from deprivation and exploitation are not in a position to embrace the kind of voluntary simplicity advocated by privileged thinkers like Thoreau. The idea that less is more might resonate with the affluent, but it risks sounding hollow to those who cannot meet their basic needs. Another challenge in pursuing simplicity is finding the right balance. The idea of simplicity can sometimes become an obsession in itself. In a culture that prizes minimalism, there is a risk of turning simplicity into a form of austerity or self-denial. This was a critique of some ancient philosophies, including Stoicism. While the Stoics advocated for simplicity, critics like Epicurus suggested that such strict control over desires could lead to a joyless existence. Epicurus believed in moderation, enjoying simple pleasures without falling into either indulgence or denial. For him, pleasure and happiness were to be found not in strict simplicity, but in balance. Contemporary minimalism movements often face similar critiques. The drive to declutter and simplify can become a burden in itself, leading people to feel guilty if they still enjoy certain luxuries or conveniences. What was meant to be freeing can, paradoxically, become restrictive. Practicing simplicity in a complex world. Having explored both the virtues and the potential pitfalls of simplicity, the question becomes, how can we actually practice simplicity in a world that is inherently complex and full of distractions? The key lies not in adopting a rigid philosophy, but in approaching simplicity as a flexible and evolving practice. After all, the ultimate aim of simplicity is not deprivation or restriction, but rather the cultivation of a meaningful life. In the end, simplicity is less about the number of things we own or the amount of activity in our lives, and more about our relationship to those things and activities. It is about finding peace in a noisy world, discovering meaning in the everyday, and creating space for the things that truly matter. And in that space, we may find that less really does lead to more joy, more connection, and more of the life we truly want to live. That's it for now. Thanks to everyone who watched. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more new content. See you next time.